Hey, welcome to Move Your Mojo, where we will have casual little chats about mindset, movement, and mojo. I'm Jay, a movement specialist, a maverick mystic, and quite frankly, a mojo magician. We're going to talk about how movement heals, mindset matters, and how both will boost your life force mojo. We'll chew on all sorts of topics from breath work, how to balance your energy, reduce stress, shift perspective, ease back pain, have more orgasms, yeah, I went there, to even the nuts and bolts of navigating the logistics of life with ease and flow. We're going to have grace for where we are, yet gear up 1% each day. Here's to living out loud and loving in full color. Rock on. Now let's move your mojo. All right, so for those of you who know me, you know that I'm a mom. And like most moms, I have a Google Calendar that resembles Tetris. There's a color for each kid, there's a color for me, there's a color for my workouts, for my partner's appointments, and then the red appointments are the things that I absolutely cannot miss. And with Google, I also now, of course, being an Apple owner, have Siri at my disposal. And I find that right now my to-do list is insane. It's like an insatiable monster that just wants to eat every sane cell in my body. So I'm currently in the process of moving. I move in 3 weeks. Again, I just moved 3 months ago, and I just moved a year before that. My oldest daughter graduated college. My youngest daughter is just entering her senior year. And work is crazy. I work in the construction industry. So right now, everybody's trying to stay ahead of the curve before any bubble bursts. Lots of things going on. Where am I going with this? Can you relate? Number one, if you can relate, definitely give me a shout. Let me know. How do you manage? Right? So just yesterday, my boyfriend is super sweet. Some days I annoy the bejeebers out of him because of my low-grade stressing about all the things I need to do. I get a little squirrely sometimes, or I seem probably distracted. I have a million things going on at once. In fact, right now I probably should be on my reformer, but I've been trying to make this podcast for, 5 days. So I was just like, fuck it, bucket. I'm going to turn on the recorder and then I'll get on the reformer. But just yesterday he said to me that I have an exceptional way of dealing with stress. So some of the tools that I use are meditation. I try to meditate every single morning and was die hard about it, but some mornings lately, with the amount of Google on my Google Calendar, is pressing in a little bit, even there at 6 o'clock in the morning. I also really love yoga and Pilates, mainly on the reformer, just to kind of recalibrate my mind and body. Again, that's been pressing in. And I love lifting weights. Actually, it helps me kind of burn off the pissed off or agitated, if you know what I mean. And I love walking. I love long walks. I have a nature preserve that goes around my current neighborhood, and it's awesome. And I love just walking. So all these things, of course, decrease your cortisol. Stress hormones are a bitch, especially when you're approaching perimenopause. So, walking is great. Sex is great, right? Like, that's a decrease in the stress, right? Cortisol comes down a lot with that. So I used to tell my clients when I was a trainer, laughter, sex, long walks, and things like easy yoga, Pilates all help us balance out those more stressful workouts. So it doesn't always go, 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 go. But even if you aren't doing stressful workouts, like my boyfriend, he's a national Spartan dude, and his workouts are insane. I just can't even imagine. They make my body hurt just thinking about them. And if you're always doing that kind of workout nonstop, day in, day out, your body just tends to get really pissed off, right? It's like, what, bitch? So to decrease the stress response, we need these easy workouts. We need walks. We need to settle down a little bit, sister. Sit your ass down. Same thing though mentally. Like, your body doesn't always know that you're not under physical stress if your mental stress translates to that physical stress, right? So if your brain is always like, oh my God, gotta go, do, zip, 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 file, email, call, your body just takes this on. Your body thinks you're running from a lion in the middle of the wilderness. It has no idea that you're actually in suburbia hell, sitting at a desk, and you're not actually in physical danger. So it's really important as well, if you find yourself mentally stressed out, to be able to take a moment to tap out. I do this as frequently as I can, but not frequently enough right now. Anyway, where am I going with all this? How do you deal with it, right? How do you tolerate? And that's how I deal with it. I do love a good meditation on Insight Timer. I love to get on my mat. I love to watch funny shows. I do miss me some I Love Lucy right now, or the Goldbergs, because I used to just laugh my butt off, Grace and Frankie. Things like that, because laughter is so good to decrease the stress. And then also just taking a lot of long walks and giving yourself a mental break. I love to journal, I love to write, and I love to read books that inspire me. So I usually don't read like murder mysteries or things like that. Those stress out the empath in me. I just stress out. I worry about myself, I worry about my kids, I worry about the world when I read those sorts of books. So I have to read things like Braiding Sweetgrass, or I like historical fiction, right? So just reading something that lets your brain kind of relax, chill out, are really, really awesome. So also getting organized. I find that biting, they say, how do you eat an elephant? It's one bite at a time. So I find just trying to stay organized is part of it, but not to the point where organization in and of itself is stressful. So I used to tease my mom when I was younger. She used to have a legal pad that sat on the kitchen table or somewhere within the vicinity of the kitchen table. And she had beautiful handwriting, and she would write her to-do list, right? And then she'd get maybe 5 or 6 things done out of those 27 things. And then she would rewrite the whole list, because just the messiness of the list would drive her crazy. And so she would write a new list. And this would go on day after day after day. She would scratch out a few things, and then she'd write the whole new list, or she'd think of 6 more things that had to be on the list because of the 3 things she scratched out. And it would just continue like a carousel. And I used to tease her. I used to say, Mom, you spend more time writing a list than you do actually doing the list. And sometimes I find myself in my adulthood, she'll grin if she's listening, being a lot like my mom, because I organize, and sometimes that organization is more work in and of itself, and other times it's amazing, it's lifesaver. So what do? I do things like I definitely use Google Calendar. I use tasks on Google Calendar to keep to-do lists. So like, for instance, I was just calling the utility companies to set up for my new move. I listed them all, so I don't have to keep going back to the document that I have to log into to get the information from my builder. I just put the 4 names, the 4 phone numbers or emails, all in my notes there in my task, which is right there on my calendar, Google, and I made notes, my new account number, my meter number, and all that for Rappahannock Electric. And tomorrow I'll call the next person on the list, and I'll just keep moving that task from day to day until I get it all done. So that's one of the things that I do on Google Calendar. My boyfriend and I use the Google Keep list app for just our communication between ourselves. If there's like a trip we want to take or something we want to see for traveling or things that we're kind of pinning, like our own personal Pinterest for each other. So if we see something that we want for our future dream home, we pin it into that particular list. If we see someplace in Virginia we want to go visit, we put it in our Virginia list. If we have something like the things that we're doing for my business right now, we make that list. So that's a really easy tool for in between. I think Apple has something similar, but Google Keep just works for us. I use Notes on my phone, the Notes app, to keep like all of my passwords in one place. And then I have other notes in there as well, like, college goodie box ideas for the kids, things like that. And when Christmas is nearing, I'll start making a list on my Notes app that is Christmas, and I put all of my gift ideas there and who I've shopped for, etc. So it's really nice because I don't have to keep rewriting things. I can just delete, or I can type in and add. I don't make scribbles and scrawls all over paper. So you're like, then why do you journal? Because writing is actually good for your brain. So I write about other things. I write about what the new moon is in and what that means for me. And that's really interesting to go back and see like the new moon and full moon cycles from certain years or different planetary movements. And so how that, they'll say, go back and look at what you were going through from this time to this time. In 2017, it's kind of the same theme. And you go back and you read in your journal and you go, holy shit balls. So you can start to see the story that your life is writing, which is very encouraging to me and reassuring. So I like to write. I also write in journals for my kids. So I've been doing that since I was pregnant with each one of them. I've been writing through all these years. They each have their own journal. They have multiple journals actually at this point, being 17 and 18. And I find that it's a great comfort even now to keep writing in them because, at first, the first few years, you write about all of the firsts. And then you find that the journals start to become all of the lasts, right? The last theater performance you go to, et cetera, and so on. And I can't keep even talking about it right now because I'll start crying right here, right now. So those are the things you write about. So I do find that I write about little things here and there still for my kids, even though I've one away at college. And that just helps me stay connected to them and keep writing their story. So writing is great as an outlet as well. So those are just some different tips and things that I use. I definitely don't know all. Oh, by the way, I also put my workouts on my Google Calendar in gold. Actually, I think it's technically called banana in Google Calendar, but I do that because it's like my golden hour. That's my golden time. And when those golden slots disappear, because if I don't actually do them, I delete them off my calendar. And I kind of do that on a weekly audit. And if all those gold spots disappear, I can totally tell in my mood by the end of the week. I am not pleasant. I'm cranky. I'm more irritable. Definitely a little more Irish. So when those gold spots stay on my schedule, the world is just a happier place for everyone. Absolutely, 100%. So those are just some tricks. I have probably a way more. Could do podcast after podcast on them. So hit me up, send me a message, or you can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Facebook. I'm Reform Pilates Yoga as my business name. If you know me personally and you're friends with me on Facebook, hit me up with a message there as well. Just, drop me a note on my newsfeed and say, hey, I heard this and I have a question or suggestion. I would love to hear your feedback because I don't know about you, I also use Hey Siri a lot. Hey Siri. And all I can say is that I've said Hey Siri so much in the past few weeks that she now answers me, what bitch? And with that, have a great day, everyone.